All right. Hey, everybody. We have a very special guest today, so that's super exciting. Tang Tang. or,
I
or,
didn't realize I was going to show up on the show, so I just sometimes I'm
so,
Batman, sometimes I'm Tank Tank. Yeah.
you know what? It's much more interesting that way. So there you go. So Warren from Trinet. So he's one of Paul's guests, so I'll let Paul introduce you, and maybe you can take over afterwards and talk about yourself a little bit.
Okay, full disclosure before we start. So Fab, I know that you play some music. Warren's a great singer. I play guitar. So we actually have a band going.
Nice.
So first thing I'd like to say. So thanks, Warren, for joining us. I've known Warren for several years now. We got to know each other through business. We've become musical friends and friends. And what I thought was really interesting about getting Warren to come on the show is that I think he has faced a lot of the challenges that we commonly talk about. So I thought it would be interesting to have him here and tell us about how he's walked through that and whatnot. And Fab also threw a slight at me before he started. He says, I talk a lot, so I'm going to ask a lot more questions.
Open-ended questions. Give me open-ended questions.
There you go.
Exactly. So Fab, you could ask the first question.
Well, let's just start with the basic one. Like, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, sure. First, guys, thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun. I enjoy these things, so hopefully I add value to the viewership and to you guys too. So my name is Warren McCaffrey. I'm the president and CEO of Trinet Global Logistics. I've been with the company, I guess, for about 20 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's rock and rolling. We're in the right industry these days with the supply chain chaos that's going on. So yeah, it's always, we call it controlled chaos.
That's good. And how did you, Warren, how do you get to this business? Like, what's your personal trajectory to saying I'm now in logistics 20 years ago or whatever it was? Like, did you run into the wall and you saw the sign for Trinet and decided to join? Like, what's your story? Why logistics?
Yeah, it's kind of unique, I think. I met a guy that was kind of in our circle. He was going out with one of my mom's friends, but I meet him a little here and there, and I kept asking, "What do you do exactly, Remus?" So he would tell me, well, he doesn't have any trucks, but he moves stuffs from like Canada to the U.S. using different carriers. I said, that's kind of interesting. So I imagine after a few drinks of glasses of wine with my wife one day, I went into his office. He worked in his basement at home.
Yeah.
And it was just a one-man show, and we sat down and we banged out a deal, and the deal was, listen, Remus, tell me how much money you need to retire. So he gave me I remember the number was $618,000. Now at the time that may not sound like a lot, but he was maybe doing 6 loads a week. So it was a huge number and I think he just threw it out there like randomly, just a shot in the dark. So I said, okay, if we do it this way, you're going to take a salary. I'll work on commission 30%. I'm going to take the sales and operations. You do the finance. And when we have enough money in the company, when we get to that $618,000, you're going to retire, take it, and I get the company. So that's how it all started. I ordered a phone book from North Carolina and I started dialing for dollars, and I made my first load, almost like going to the casino. I made $700 on my first load. It was a broker in Alabama that gave me a shipment from North Carolina going to Vancouver, and I used an Alberta carrier, and I made $700. I said, man, this is going to be easy. I got this. Well, like going to a casino, you don't win all the time, so it's been up and down. But in 2008, and this was all done on a handshake, by the way, no contract, no nothing. We shook hands, and in 2008, he retired, and I got the company.
Okay, so sorry, Fab, you're right. I have to ask. So here you were, pretty young guy. Like, this business attracted you because you thought this guy was interesting, or you like before you even decided to make that offer? I mean, you must have, or were you just like?
Well, I saw it wasn't. It was scalable. Like the world was your oyster. Like really, he was just doing cross border.
Okay.
But I don't know if you notice. If you ever talk transport, then you start driving up and down the highway. All you notice is trucks. You just see trucks and trucks and trucks. And I said, man, and you don't have to own assets. So the level of entry is very easy. Anybody can get into it. At the time, you needed there was no cell phones or laptops, but you needed a computer and a landline. Yeah, so it was that, and the possibility, the knowing that the more loads I book, I can control my own destination.
Okay.
My own destiny, basically. I could figure out, I could mathematically figure out how many loads I needed to do, and it would make sense. So.
Okay. And that's interesting. And you have scaled it, right? So when you started here, you guys were 2, and how many are in the company now?
I say we're about 35, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and growing. We're hiring. It seems like we're hiring every month, I think.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have one more question, Fab.
Go for it.
So Warren, what are the big challenges now? Like, you're growing, you're doing well. What are the challenges you're facing? Like, at a high level, what is it that you have to? What are the pieces of the puzzle you've got to work with, and what are you trying to figure out?
So I guess I'll focus on 2. The first challenge is people. Whether it's to find the right people, whether it's to manage the people. The expectations are high. There's people are different. There's that work-life balance. That we just hired our first HR person this year.
Wow.
And that's a whole new experience. When I got into this, I just knew how to cold call and book trucks. But now, I'm dabbling in marketing, dabbling in sales, doing operations, a little I'm a psychiatrist sometimes. Sometimes I'm a babysitter, and now you're dealing with a lot of external things. So I would say the people is one. And on the sales side, if we bring it to sales, our biggest challenge is because I'm kind of business ADD. So I enjoy having a lot of different businesses, although it's the same company. And in logistics, so we have small parcel, we have our technology, we have our international department, we have a custom broker, we're working on assets. So we're doing a lot of that stuff. And when you have a sales team, they're excited because they can sell everything. But it's to understand that all good business isn't good business, to walk away and to understand that, yeah, they may ship for $2 million, but they have things sorted out. They got their own technology. They have their transportation company. So for us, that's on the sales side, that's a challenge, is to tell them, no, this is bad business. How do you identify bad business so you don't waste your time on what we call time wasters, and you get to focus on, the companies that really do need your help, because people do need our help today.
So how do you do that?
How do we stay away from time wasters?
Yeah. How do you define what is a time waster? And what's your process to figure out, okay, we should really be working on this type of company. They have what we need, and we don't hear. Like, is there a process with the sales team? Do you guys say, well, okay, these are what we're looking for in the personas, or what do you have, like a guideline or a map?
I could say we're getting there. We've like the business model's changed so much in the last 5 years. We're doing a lot of managed business, so that's where we're outsourcing. We're basically outsourcers, so people outsource their business to us. And then there's that spot market where people will call you for give me a rate, and then you book trucks. So we're transitioning from the spot to the managed. And so the managed, we kind of develop the product ourselves. So we know the questions we want to ask, but it's hard. And we're working towards that. And that's why actually we work with people like you guys to help us figure that out. But
Thank you, Warren. We didn't have to do our own shameless plug. You plugged us.
No, the sales process and everything, but that's a challenge. It is hard to ask the right questions and to sort of define what they're looking for, if it's a fit, because everything's a fit. The salespeople come back and say, well, they ship. Oh, we know they ship, but it doesn't fit what we're doing.
Interesting. Bob, your turn.
And so, I know you're working with, but then if I want to continue on the sales part a bit and maybe some of the marketing side of things, like how do you attract your new clients? Is it all process? You said at the beginning, early on, you're like cold calling people. Is that still the main business model? Has that changed? Has that part of the business changed?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot more. I mean, we have hunters. We split up our sales for. It used to all be combined. We used to do what we call a cradle to grave. So the person that would cold call, then you'd book your trucks, find your own price. You do everything by yourself. So today, it's funny. So we split up our sales team into what we call obviously hunters and farmers. So our hunters are the ones prospecting and bringing them in, and the farmers once it's closed. So, but we're a lead generating machine. In logistics, we generate our own leads because every place that we pick up that's not a customer, every place we deliver isn't a customer either. So those are potential customers. So
Mm.
we've actually developed internally a lead generating program with our operators.
Okay.
So if they supply a lead and we close the account, then they get an incentive there. And so
Nice.
what that does is that gives our sales team, our hunters, our FSMs, juice and fuel. So
Mm.
it gets them going. So yeah, it's not the leads that are the tough part right now. It's really it's focusing on the right type of business.
I'm letting you ask the next question.
And so, we talked a bit about offline, and I realize it's relatively a new practice, but if we talk about revenue operations, but more specifically, how are you streamlining your kind of whole revenue process? I really like what you said, that you're working with your operators and you've developed the system. Are you trying to tie in everything together? Because that's what it seems like, right? Because you have operators on one end, but they're also referring back people. How did that come about? That idea.
Well, one in our business, the operators. It's funny when you think about operators, they really don't have a lot of, in normal businesses, don't have a lot of influence on the sales process or the experience. They're kind of the people on the assembly lines, that are just building the product. But in our
Right.
industry, the operations are key because they're talking with the carriers. They're talking, they're setting expectations with the customers. So they're really involved in the whole customer experience. So which is a unique thing in our industry where they're not selling, but they're important in the whole process. So you have to have them involved in the process somehow, and that we had to try to figure that out. We're lucky we're building our own technology.
Nice.
But we are and we're working to get a CRM. We're trying to take a look at that, and you guys are helping us with that actually. So and then we're plugging that into Dynamics with our finance team. So we just switched over to Dynamics. So with our technology being customer and operation facing, our sales people have access to that. Our finance people have access to that. And with the CRM, everybody's going to have visibility. Because if one, I think we talked about it right before the call, Fab, that if one piece of the puzzle isn't involved, the whole thing goes kaput.
Right. And that's amazing, because you're right. Like, a lot of companies do focus on, the top of the funnel, the sales and the marketing. And then, obviously they want to serve the customer, but it kind of like, it's almost an afterthought. Right. And I really like how you're built that in, so that and I realize that your business maybe lends itself to that a bit more. But I find that really interesting that you've decided to bring everything in, because it is a full circle element. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah. And I kind of did it backwards because I'm an operational minded person. I always thought I was a sales guy, sales minded, but I'm very much operational. And so when I look back, the way I built my business is I would build the operations before. I haven't had a sales team. I just started having a sales team like 2 years ago. I've never had. It was just you're generating your own things, and the operators would all open the account. So I've really learned a lot because the operations, you build your operations, and now we're bringing in the sales team. And I think if I would have done it the other way, I don't think we would have had the results we had, because if you don't have the people managing, the loads, your salespeople are just going to get frustrated. They're going to leave because you're not getting the service they need. So
I have a question, Warren. So there's obviously a lot of moving parts, right? You talk about technology, and that what does that technology do, and how does that make you, let's say, competitive, and how does that maybe make you a better option for someone who is looking for a company like yours to help them out in either their managed business or their spot business?
yeah, so our technology, we started it about in 2012. It started off as a rate shopper tool. We actually coined it as an Expedia for small parcel. That's how
Nice.
our little selling, our marketing pitch was that. So we basically were partnered with DHL, all the small parcel providers, UPS, DHL, and originally it was for to help the small business. And that was the whole key with this. Give them the opportunity to consolidate their volumes to get competitive pricing, just like the big stores do, the Walmarts, the Costco's of the world and all that stuff. So it started that way. Today, our technology and what makes us unique is that you can handle all modes in our technology. And again, we've moved our business from spot market to managed. So we're able to go into a customer today, give them our technology. They can manage all their logistics through our technology. So a TMS, transportation management system. Our operators are working out of that technology as well. And we have visibility. So all their shipments, they can see where they are, where they're at. And it's sort of a business in a box. So we can give that to the customer and they can start, we all say it, you can focus on what you do best while we take over, the logistics of it. But with this technology, our edge is that we offer that technology and it is tweakable. So every customer is a bit different. We can tweak it because we're programming it. It's not an off-the-shelf type of technology where you can't do anything with it and you have to live with the way it works. Ours is very tweakable, and that's what we do. So I think that's our edge. And today, everybody's looking for that. The market's moved so much that you can't keep up. Like technology is moving. We had no technology in our industry 5 years ago. So that's changed a lot. And now there's no people. People can't find anybody to hire. So, everybody's looking, it seems, to outsource it now.
So that's good. So it's a good thing for you. So we've talked a little bit about how you get your leads. How when you're making a delivery, well, where you're actually delivering or where your operator's delivering, that becomes an automatic lead. And we've talked a little bit about marketing, but and we've talked a little bit about RevOps, right? We know that obviously Fab and I are aware that you're now building a strategy to have a better RevOps system or operations so that you can create more fluidity and scalability, right? To build the business and that's scalable. I guess what I want to ask you, and I don't want to forget to ask you this, so I'm going to ask you one of our later questions now, is what does success mean to you, Warren? When you're looking at your company, obviously we know you want to grow sales. That's obviously, but what does success look like to you? Like, what is it about? What is it when you've gotten the sales you want? How is Trinet successful? What is it you're looking for?
So this is going to be probably a little bit off the wall a little bit, but to me,
you like that? You like off the wall?
Yeah. I think there's two things that I think that I'll know that it's working and we're successful. One is see our day to day, what we drive into our people and our customers. We answer the phone this way is how can we make your day a little easier? If you call Trinet, we don't have answering machines. We answer the phone. Good morning, Trinet. How can we make your day a little easier? And that's what we're trying to do. So for us to be successful, I think if I know that our customers, we're making their day easier by, lowering their transfer costs or just lending an ear when they're having problems, or make sure we're treating our carriers right, that just everything is, people are happy to be dealing with us because we're making their day easier. And the other thing really and I think by doing that, your profit and growth is going to come. Right. I don't put profit as a top thing to make me feel successful. I think that all comes with the right steps. But the other biggest thing, and this has been a big push in the last 2 years for us, is this is a hard industry and life is getting harder and harder with COVID and, the work-life balance and, we don't have a lot of time left on this earth type thing. So one of our I know that I'll be successful and Trinet will be successful is when people that are working at Trinet, part of the Trinet tribe, when they take vacation, first we're making everybody take vacation. There's no more, well, I'm not taking vacation this year, I'm too busy. So when they take vacation, then they can tune out. They tune out. They don't, because everybody wants to stay connected and nobody really disconnects. So for us to be successful, for Trinet to be successful is when they go away, they come back, it's okay. They don't have a pile of work because nobody took care of it. And they tuned out, they come refreshed, and they're excited to be back at work. So it's really because I think people are working very, very hard these days and they're getting burnt out. And it's, I think those are the two things that I'll see that I'm successful, trying to success if we achieve those two things.
And that's really, I don't know if I can hop in there, but that's really impressive. And my question to you is, if I can build on that, is you don't hear a lot of business owners or CEOs or president, whatever leaders talk about that? Like where did this idea of success come from? Like why not profits, right? So many executives are so focused on profits, and they might talk a nice talk, they might have nice boards on like images on the wall and all that about mission and values, but where did that all come from?
Well, listen, don't get me wrong. Profits are important. Like shareholders really look at the profits, so they want to make sure it's there.
Yeah. Who are listening to this podcast, profits are important.
Yeah. But it's funny. My wife read me a story, I would say about, I guess about 5 years ago, about it was two similar companies, and they both produce widgets or whatever. They were both doing the same amount of numbers, and it was how valuable were each company. So the first company, they looked, and the owner, was just focused on profits. They were involved in every decision making. Nobody was growing. The managers, everything had to report to that the owner. The other company was kind of the reverse. One, the owner would take a ton of vacation, whereas the first company, the owner was always there, never taking vacation. And second, in the second company, decisions were made it was from the bottom up instead of the top down type mentality. So the question was, which company is worth more? And obviously, the company number two is worth more just because of the way it was managed, and that the company didn't depend on the owner. So when I was very much that first guy. Like I was there all the time, never taking time. All decisions had to go through me. So I don't know if you call it a micromanager, but I was very involved in everything all the time.
Yes.
And so when I started switching that, I kind of saw, well, wait a minute, my managers and my directors, they're all doing that too. So we kind of built. It's probably since COVID, we kind of take a look at, say, what's important, and what's important to us is our people. If you don't have people, it doesn't matter how much money you're making, you're not going to go anywhere. And we're bouncing around the 4-day work week. We're taking a look at the hybrid. We're seeing how that works. So I think if we focus more on people, the rest will come, because we have a good product. And we're in a good industry. It's the biggest industry in the world. So if you can't succeed here, you won't succeed anywhere. So.
Hey, I have a question, Warren. I know that we were talking about this offline a few days ago. And I know that you read Simon Sinek's Infinite Game. It seems like it's affected you a lot in the way you do business. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what your views are on the Infinite Game and what that means?
Yeah, actually, it's the coolest thing about that I enjoyed is that you're not in a game that you're going to win. There is no winners and losers. It doesn't. You're never going to be the best. You're never going to be number one. You're never going to be that. What you can be is you can put a mission out there that it's continuous, and you're just always working towards that, and it gives you a purpose. To be the best freight forward in the world. I don't even know how to quantify that, and what does that mean. But to make people's day easier. And it's funny, we've been saying this for I think I started about 10 years ago answering the phone that way. So, even before Simon Sinek, but now it sort of brings it into perspective, is that, it's all that money and stuff is going to come, but you just have to start doing the right thing for the right people. So our mission is,
so do the right thing, build it the right way, and then the profits will come, because you're playing it in an honest way that's going to bring true value to your clients and to your employees, really.
Yeah, and maybe profits won't come. Maybe at first you won't succeed. Maybe you'll go down. We've had years like this too, but we always stuck to, hey, we know where we're going. We don't want to be bouncing back and forth, and depending on how the market conditions are or anything. You stay the line. You believe in which way you're going, and you know what? If it doesn't work, at least you died trying.
That's good. That's good. There was another question here that I wanted to. So how do you, when we talk about KPIs or objectives or things that you want to attain, I understand your infinite realm. So what you're saying is, you're always going to seek to make someone's day better, and there's always someone else to whom you can make their day better with, right? There's always someone to whom you'll be able to offer these services. So when you're setting your objectives, when you're setting your KPIs, your goals, what do you do? What do you do to ensure as you go along that these KPIs are met or that the objectives are met, and that they're not just like this high, end of year goal, but rather something that you can develop as you go along?
Okay, yeah, and don't get me wrong, we have budgets and objectives, and everything is based on profitability. That's how we either hire people or not. So we kind of do it backwards. And I learned this a couple years ago as well, is before I was just telling guys, okay, we got to hit 20 million. We got to hit 30 million here, figure out a way to do it. And let's do it that way. Today, the way we do it is we get together every November with the leadership group. So somebody in I guess that's the rev op side, maybe, is you get somebody, our director of corporate services, she's in the finance side. I have my tech person, I have my director of sales, my director of operations. We all get together and I ask them, okay, what do you guys, we take a look at what happened last year. Okay, what do you guys look for? What are you guys trying to do next year? How many people are you looking for? What are some of the what does our pipeline look like? What does our cash flow look like? Where can we get? And so we build it backwards. So, okay, everybody kind of gives me their wish list. This is where I'd like to be. And we put it all together. We need a couple more programmers to get to this stuff. We put it together and I work it backwards to say, okay, well then if we're going to hit this is our profit margin that we're working for. Well, we're going to have to hit 40 million this year. And so what that does is that makes everybody responsible. It's not that I'm the one telling them what the budget is. They've told me what they want to hit. So they're more implicated in the success and the objectives that we're trying to hit. And then having that, we usually have a quarterly meeting to review everything, but I share all our financials as well. So when our financials come out, I share that with the leadership team so they can see where we're at. And there's no questions. They can say, well, what's this, I don't know, travel expense? Well, we had to go to this show. So, there's questions about it, but at least everybody is involved. So again, it's not just a top down. We try to implicate everybody so that we understand that all of our decisions have an effect, and these are the numbers that it affects, and how do we change it? So. And that's helped a lot. So whether we hit our goals or not, well, I could say last year we hit our goal, which was nice. You never know during COVID. We have we have a lofty goal this year. I think the growth last year we grew by 60%. This year we're trying to grow another 60 or 65%. So it's a lofty goal.
Wow.
Yeah. But we have a plan now. It's not just a number on a piece of paper. It's people actually have plans. Operations knows, well, I'm going to do this. Sales knows what they have to do in their pipeline, and tech knows what they have to do. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of pressure off my shoulders. I can share that.
That's awesome. That's good. Well, that's what you want, right? You want to be able to and that's one thing I think, I've talked about this with Warren in the past, and Fab, we've had these discussions too, is you get to a point, and you said it, you used to do everything, you used to micromanage. You can only have so many employees because you're going to burst at the seams. But now, as you grow, you're learning to delegate and trust this team, and that's what creates a real capacity to grow and scale in an intelligent manner, right? Because a lot of CEOs and owners have that point where they have to let go and give authority and accountability to other people, and that's a tough thing to do when you started the business. When you were two guys and you ran the ship and you bottom out, now you have to delegate. So I think that's a wise thing that you're saying, because that's super important, and it's a big factor in owners having a jam at one point. They're just jammed there and they have a hard time moving forward. It's psychology. It's understanding what you did a few years ago when you read those books and realized, I've got to allow my people, I got to give them responsibility. I have to trust them. I have to put a system in place that's going to help them grow. So that's wonderful.
I think entrepreneurs, we're all I think we all think we can do everything. And what I've learned is that you can't do everything. Just like the companies we're asking them to outsource the logistics because that's not what they do. Like I had to understand as well, listen, I'm not a marketer. Like, sending an email or posting something on LinkedIn doesn't qualify me as a marketer. And and I'm not a sale. I understand. I could go maybe I can do a sale, but I can't structure a sales team, and I can't put in sales processes, and I can't do all that stuff. So I've learned a lot of that. Like before, I was just doing it all myself, and and it was easy because I would make all the decisions, and I would, it was my way, and nobody's arguing with me. So, but now it's fun when you do bring in different experts from different fields, and whether it's even on the accounting side, bring in some good accountants, and just whatever it is. I think if you do that, you're going to get a lot more support. Yeah, there's money involved, sure, but I think you can balance that out. So I've learned that too, is I can't do everything.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm good at. So
if you're good at delegating and motivating, you're in the perfect position, right? That's what.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we went through our questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up, Paul?
Well, Warren, thank you very much for coming on to talk with us. Of course, Fab and I know Warren's business, but we wanted to have this conversation with our public because I know Warren's philosophy, and I think it's very appropriate for today in a market where labor is tight. Because if you want to attract good people, you have to believe in your people, and you have to understand that your people are your business. And I think Warren really gets that. And also, if he's thinking of his clients and his employees, well, the rest, like he says, is going to fall into place. So thank you very much for being on the show, Warren. Is there any final thoughts you want to say to us?
No. Hey, keep doing what you guys are doing. Thanks for having me. I enjoy it. Yeah, keep doing it. Keep sharing the knowledge and everything, because I can. And it's not a plug on you guys, but I'm saying.
We like plugs. Don't worry about it.
But very plug friendly.
Like marketing, everybody thinks it's easy peasy, but there's so many, like Fab, you talked about a little bit before about like LinkedIn and Google Ads and all that stuff. Well, that's all new. That didn't exist before, like 10 years ago. And there's an art to that. And the rev ops, like I never even heard that term until I spoke to you guys. I didn't even know what that was. So, there's a lot of expertise that if companies do want to grow, you're going to have to just figure out what you do best and focus on that. And, on the sales process, I can tell you, I didn't have a sales team before I met Paul. So now I have a sales team. So keep doing what you guys doing. And I appreciate everything you do for our team.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Warren.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye.